Hello, friends. I never know where to look. I'm going to look here so it looks like I'm looking at you. Or shall I look here and break the fourth wall? I don't know. Welcome to this episode of Booked with the lovely Kevin Rodgers. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I have been so excited for this show for weeks.
Me too.
Yes.
I feel like we started this process back in March.
I think we literally did. It's been so long. I'm finding this with a lot of authors that I'm interviewing, especially ones that I've spoken to about features from last year. And I think this has been such a long time coming. And don't quote me on this. And I know this is live and being recorded, but I'm hoping that I can maybe increase my availability to do more shows because I am enjoying them so much.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun to watch and stuff too. You should do special ones like holiday shows.
I should have done Halloween one. I put Disco Stew in the corner, in case anyone notices my awesome disco skull that I found in Target. That wasn't a plug. I'm not getting paid for that. I'm a sucker for shiny things and skulls. So those two were it was like a match made in hell. But yeah, it's Halloween week. So that's exciting. But I didn't think of anything to do with it. It's not really a holiday I enjoy because Halloween themed food makes me want to vomit. So sure. I am just a bit of a fanny when it comes to stuff like that. Do you like Halloween?
Halloween's my favorite holiday.
Is it?
It is. Well, yeah, it's my favorite because it's Haunted Mansion style Halloween where it's a nice mix of scary and funny. You know, those to me is where Halloween kind of just sings the best. I don't like things overly scary or overly campy, but if you get a nice blend of both, that's what I like.
Yeah, I much prefer a cute Halloween or something that again is a bit. I prefer a campy Halloween, but that's just for me. So yeah, I really didn't think ahead. I have got a show on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and I guarantee I'll forget that means something. I might wear a Christmas jumper.
There you go.
But I can't guarantee that I'll remember to do that. Oh goodness! So
that's half the fun of Christmas are the ugly Christmas sweaters.
That's part of my favorite thing as well. Yeah. Big fan. I like the ones that make no sense. That have nothing to do with Christmas, like dinosaurs.
Right.
Silly things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. With just little puff balls popping out of it.
Oh hell yeah! Bonus points if it jingles when you walk.
There you go. And if you're doing the dinosaur one, the little puff balls should actually be like little meteorites coming down.
Hang on a minute. Business idea. Business idea. I like it. We have loads of people in the chat today. Hello, everybody. This is very nice. It's nice
hello,
to see
chat.
Yeah. It's nice to see everybody. Hello to everyone. I'm not going to name each of you right now because I'll be here forever. But yeah, it's nice when people join in. So if at any point you do have any questions for Kevin, then do pop them into the chat. I will remind everybody towards the end as well, just so that you have the opportunity. And I will try and keep an eye on the chat, but I'll try not to get distracted because I am a magpie for distractions. So anyway, so that I stop rambling. For anyone that's not familiar with you and your work, could you give them a bit of an overview into the Mason Gideon universe?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Mason Gideon universe is kind of our take on what would happen if what would have happened after King Arthur died. Mm-hmm. We felt that there were tons and tons of stories that dealt with King Arthur, his knights, and everything that happened back then. We wanted to do something a little different. We both, I say we, myself and my writing partner, Rachel, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more contemporary fantasy. Those are the kind of novels that we really like to read and stuff like that. So we wanted to find a way to bring the King Arthur story to the present. And plus, I have an aversion to writing high fantasy and medieval fantasy because I have a problem with historical fiction in the way that I would want it to be historically accurate, because I'm a
Yeah.
bit of a history nerd, and I think I would have a bit of analysis paralysis back trying to do that. So if we do it nowadays, I know what things look like because I can just look. I don't have to try and guess or look up 500 different sources to make sure I'm doing it right, because I would feel bad if I wasn't. So it's kind of an Arthurian tale, and it deals with Mason Gideon, who finds out on his 13th birthday that he has magic. He's defending his best friend from the school bully. Finds out he has magic, which he didn't realize, and that he is the subject of an ancient prophecy that makes him the long lost son of King Arthur and the rightful wielder of Excalibur. So he has to go on a quest to try and find that, and then from there, the story just goes.
It's a ton of fun. It is a ton of fun. Even as a grown up, I was like, "Oh, this is quite joyful, actually." I loved your take on it. I know that before, because we had a little audio test earlier today, I didn't have a chance to look through to see if there was anything that sounded not sort of. It's not even British. It's set in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, most of it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there were like tiny little phrases and stuff, but it didn't take me out of the story. But I always find it like I don't know. I like it when Americans write stuff about the UK, because it kind of gives me an insight into your insight into culture. And it wasn't all like, "Oh, jolly good."
It wasn't Dick Van Dyke from Mary Poppins.
Yes, that drives me crazy. So I was pleased that it was like contemporary and actually quite relatable. So, I mean, I don't have magic powers that I know of, but I'm not 13, so.
You missed your window.
Yeah. So you co-wrote this with Rachel Green.
Yes.
And I know, and correct me if I say anything that sounds like I think it's a fact and it's wrong. I need you to tell me it's wrong. So I know that you had the idea for the Legacy of the Round Table series a few years ago. And so you met Rachel quite a long time ago. What was the thing that made you go, I need to actually write this,
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. So I've known Rachel for about 25 years now. We met. I graduated college, and I got my first job after college at a one-screen movie theater in a city pretty close to where I lived. And she had just started working there, and it was one of those things, like it was like the scene in Step Brothers, where I said something and she said something, and I said, "Are we just best friends?" She said, "Yep." And it was just one of those things that clicked, and we were fast friends and stuff. So it was great. And we had always talked about, from the moment she was like a teenager, she wanted to be a writer and stuff. So that was her goal. For my part, I wanted to be kind of like a filmmaker. I always was drawn to movies and things like that. So life went on over the course of those 25 years, and she had moved to a different state, and you grow apart and you come back and you grow apart, just as friends do and stuff like that. And then she would send me stuff that she had written to kind of give opinions on, and if I ever came up with something, I would send it to her. And then I had 5 years ago, I was on the way to divorce and life-changing stuff, and I just said, I had just gotten into the board game thing, and I really felt those creative juices kind of churning and stuff like that. And I said, I really want to do this, but I like collaboration. I love collaboration, and I wanted to have like shared experiences with people and things like that. So I said, I had the idea for the prologue, sent it to her. I said, would you be interested in doing this with me? And she's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And boom, there it went. And we just kind of went, and 5.5 years later, she's stuck with me now. So
in it for the long haul, from what I can
for the long haul.
That's really cool. So it took you like about 5 years to release the first book, right?
Yeah, and we had finished writing it in like 2 or 3.
Okay.
But then we did the whole querying and trying to find agents, and she's actually written a couple of other books with someone out, with another friend of hers. So she's been doing this a little bit longer. She has an agent who wasn't really interested in doing co-authored books. So we went through the querying process. We actually found a publishing company that was interested in. It was a very small publishing company, very independent, who was interested in publishing it, and we were going through the process. We actually signed with them and everything, and They ended up running out of money.
Well, that's sad.
About in last November, almost a year ago, actually. So we had a serious conversation of like, do we really want to go back to trying to find someone to do this, or do we just want to do it ourselves? You know, I said, we've been sitting on this book now, finished. If ever book is ever finished, you know, you read it, you always find something. Yeah. And I'm like, it's been sitting there for like 2 or 3 years. We're 95% done with the second book, and we've got ideas for the next 15 or whatever. And do we want to just start going forward and start doing this ourselves? And that's what we decided to do.
Wow. So that was a really quick turnaround, because the first book came out in March, right? This year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from November to March, you went from it's going to be published with this particular publisher and screw it, we'll just do it ourselves. That's a really short period of time to have learned everything that you need to learn.
Yeah, I've learned
to get it out there.
Absolutely, I have.
That's crazy.
I don't have a clue.
Nobody really does.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much stuff I didn't know, you know, until I started doing this, and that's okay, because you know, you figure it out as you go, and it's one of those things that it felt like almost felt like a now or never kind of moment. So we figured, you know, we'll go through, we'll make the mistakes that we make along the way, and just learn from them as we go.
So the book 2 came out at the end of September, or towards the end of September. So when did you start writing the second book?
We started writing the second book after we did the first draft of the first book.
Okay, so that's been going on for a few years.
That's why it was almost done, and why we were able to put the second one out so quickly, because we had the first one done, except for the edits and stuff that we knew we had to do, but we kind of knew where the story was going to end. Even after the edits, it wasn't going to change the actual story that much. So we knew where the second one was going, and we started writing that one, and we were doing the same thing we were doing with the first one. As we were, you know, thinking about querying and thinking about going through all this other stuff, we just kept writing, because we knew that if we were ever picked up by an agent, they would be more attracted to having more ready to go than, we've got ideas for stuff, and maybe we'll get to, you know, we wanted to show that we were serious about it and had concrete stuff. So after we'd finished the second one, we started on the third one, and we actually are just about finished with the third one, first draft.
Wow.
Which should be coming out next year.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, it must feel so good to have the ball rolling like this. It seems like you've got a good momentum going at the moment.
Yeah, and that's why I said she's kind of stuck with me, because I feel like I'm sometimes the boulder that's rolling down the hill, you know, because I'm like, we're not going to stop. We're you know, like I went on vacation. My daughter did like basketball tournaments around the country and stuff like that. So we would go, and I brought my iPad, and in between games, I was writing a chapter, or I was coming up with the next, you know, we outlined the next 2 books are fully outlined, ready to go.
Wow.
Books 6 and 7 are reasonably outlined. There's some holes, but there's some reason. We have ideas, like concrete ideas for 8, 9, and some solid idea. We planned them all out, and, you know, trying to use up as much time as we can, because I feel like, you know, if this is my creative peak, I want to make sure I get as much of it out as possible.
Right? Oh my God, don't waste that juice, the creative juice that you have. So you have a lot of books planned for this universe.
Yeah, we after we finished the first one, we like I said, we live in 2 different states, so we chat as much as we can. We text, we FaceTime every once in a while and stuff. But she was out visiting her mom, who's not too far from us. And so we went to a Panera Bread, and we kind of mapped it out. We mapped out the whole backstory, what things we're gonna do, and it was a really good session. And, you know, we kind of figured out where it needed to go. And I'll be honest, having signed with that publishing company, even for the month or 2 that we were signed with them, really made us kind of focus on where we wanted the story to go, so that we knew we had plans and everything, and how we wanted to set our schedule up for it. And it was great. It was a lot of fun, and we're happy with where we think it's going to go, realizing that tomorrow the wind could change, and we may come up with a different idea, and it might be something totally different. You never know.
I mean, archaeologically, they could find something that inspires you. You never know.
It's in there. It's in book 6 and 7. Something somebody recently found. Yeah.
There you go. I'm here
Yeah. Here, I'll tell
predicting
you
the
what. We'll give
plots.
you a minor spoiler. It has to do with the Sphinx.
Oh, that's exciting.
I know.
Hmm.
I was super excited when I read it.
So something that I am so curious about, and I ask anyone that like co-authors a book that I speak to, how the heck does that work? Because I am so possessive over plot and where I want things to go. Do you have like a joint document that you both work on? Do you each take a chapter? Like who's in charge of what?
Yeah. So for me, I totally get that, and I totally
Mm.
respect that. That is, I understand that. But for me, like I said earlier, the shared experience is something that I actually need and enjoy.
Mhm.
When I also design board games, and I collaborate with my friends and stuff on that.
Mhm.
I know myself, and I know that I probably wouldn't finish if I didn't have someone to help me keep myself accountable.
Yeah.
And so the way we do it is we usually alternate chapters. Like
Mm. Okay.
we'll come up with an idea, we'll kind of outline it. This is what we did for the first couple. Anyways, we outlined it, a little bit, and
Mhm.
we would take chapters and we would listen, and then we would edit each other's chapters, and then make suggestions and kind of work on it and stuff together.
Mm. Okay.
And so we don't really divvy up who's in charge of what, because it's really all depends. We're both extremely busy. I'm a single parent. She's got 2 kids, and
Mhm.
her family is super busy with stuff. So her husband and her are running their kids around all over Wisconsin to all kinds of different events and stuff. So when she has time, she does stuff. When I have time, I do stuff. And
Yeah.
um, the one rule that we have with everything is, if it makes the book better, no matter who thought of it, no matter what, that's what goes in.
That's good.
And that's all we really care about, is giving the best experience to the reader and stuff like that. Because
Mm.
I don't have an ego. She doesn't have an ego.
Mhm.
So and for me, having someone to celebrate these kind of moments with, having someone to be like, I'm holding our book in our hand, and having that connection,
Yeah.
that's almost as much fun as writing it. So
That's so nice. It's very wholesome. I I th- I think in principle it sounds really appealing, and you're obviously getting a lot of experience and lovely memories out of this. But I know that I would end up not speaking to that person after a period of time because of
yeah.
the type of person I am. I'm not really good. I'm a good collaborator if I don't have to take responsibility for stuff. But if I want my name to be on the thing, I'm such a control freak. But what I appreciate about this book, because I've only read the first one, is that it doesn't feel like 2 separate people with 2 separate styles wrote the book. Because you said that you took like a chapter each, like
Right.
in a sort of sequence, but it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, and
It
and
flows
that's
really
just,
well.
I think part of that has to do with that we also work well together because we have different strengths.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm really good at writing dialogue and
Mm.
maybe set pieces, action sequences, things like that.
Mhm.
And she's better at the prose and
Mm.
um, making it sound good. Um, I always say she takes whatever I write and makes it shine. You know what I mean? So
Oh.
she's really good at that. And from my love of movies and things like that,
Mhm.
that's where I feel like I get the dialogue and the bigger, larger than life action pieces and stuff like that.
Mhm. Oh, that's really nice. That's cool. I interviewed a couple that wrote a book, and when I asked if they had clashed on anything, I think the wife was like, "Yes, yes, we did. Why don't you tell the people about it?" And I was like, "Oh, I wish I hadn't have asked that."
Yeah, we've been really fortunate. We've only had that happen kind of once. Now, she may have
Mm.
screamed at me through her phone a couple of times. Like, she may have sent a text and then yelled at her phone a couple of times. I don't know. That's possible. But we only had one time, and whenever we have those disagreements, it usually means we just haven't found the right answer yet. So
Mm.
it's not that my way is better or her way is better. It just means we haven't found the right one for the book yet. So we'll
Mhm.
keep being like, okay, well, if these don't work, what do you think is the next best thing? What do I think is the next best thing? How do we make a logical progression from point A to point B?
Yeah.
And see where it is. And honestly, in almost every single time, we found a better solution. So it's been great. Knock on
I
wood.
mean, you appear to be incredibly emotionally intelligent, and it sounds like you both are, so that helps. the
Yeah, and plus
community.
we've also, like I said, we've been friends for 25 years, and as much as I love writing these books and stuff, I'm not willing to risk that
Mm.
over a line of dialogue or a plot point,
There is that. Mm. Yeah, priorities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
So, so I'm not going to gloss over the fact that you mentioned that you do design board games because that is incredibly cool. Um, have you got any that you can show off? Like, what? How did you get into it? I have like 1,000 questions, and I'm going
So
to stop there for a
yeah,
second.
I'll tell you my story. Well, like I kind of alluded to in the past, I always felt a little creative, and I grew up with a great creative friend group. They were in theater.
Hmm.
We used to do, instead of writing papers for English, we would make a video. This was, this was in the 80s and 90s,
Oh
before
wow!
that was kind of a normal thing. If we were in TikTok land back then, well, we'd still be terrible at it, but we would have had more fun. It would have been more socially acceptable. Anyway, so we would do that. So when we did like Beowulf, we made it as a parody of the whole Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan thing. When we did Canterbury Tales, and we would
Oh,
have
brilliant!
someone doing voiceovers, and we would act out. And it was just terrible and awful, but people got to kick that. But the point is, we were always a little bit creative and stuff like that. So, um, my friend, one of my best friends, Chris, he's in board games. He actually works there now, but he had always grown up big board game fan,
Mm-hmm.
and he developed a game called Roll For It. Brought it to a convention called Gen Con, which is one of the biggest ones held in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And actually sold it. And he
Wow.
came back and told me about it, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't even know that world existed outside the main Clue, Monopoly, Sorry,
Yeah.
things like that. But I mean, it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry that
Mm-hmm.
we just didn't know existed. And we had always played a game called Star Wars Epic Duels.
Okay.
And what that was it's a one-on-one kind of fighter game. So it'd be like Luke versus Vader, or Leia versus, I don't know, Emperor Palpatine, whatever. And we thought it was such a fun system to play, but we, being our creative nerds and dorks that we are, we came up with our own. We did them for superheroes, and we did them for other fictional characters and stuff like that. And
Oh
we
wow.
would make our own sets to play on this board game.
Mm-hmm.
So he got into it, and he sold his game, and he was telling me all about it. And we just kind of got the bug to really start designing games. And we've been working together on games pretty much ever since. And we've sold a fair few of them. A few of them been in Targets. Yeah, so I'll show you some of. So the first one that we
show me the things.
actually sold is Back to the Future Dice Through Time.
That's cool.
And I have a bit of a delay on my video, so I don't know if you can see this. Okay.
I can, yeah.
This was the first one. It was at Target, and it was awesome because I used to think I was the biggest Back to the Future fan in the world until I met Chris when I was in 8th grade. And he made it seem like I'd never even seen Back to the Future before. So he's a huge Back to the Future fan, and the license for this came up, and he had known some people in the industry because he works in them, and they said they're looking to do it. And he called myself and Ken, one of our other friends who designs board games. He set up. He goes, "I want to make this Back to the Future game. Will you guys help me?" So we came up with ideas, and we pitched it, and they loved it, and we made it, and it was great. And then
That's so cool.
Yeah, we worked with that company again, and we made a Space Mountain game.
Oh
based
wow!
on the Disney ride. So this is that was a fun game. So we were real fortunate to have a couple games in Target right off the bat. And,
yeah, no kidding.
We made a game here. This is another one called Mass Transit. That's a little card game. That's a cooperative. Most of these you're going to find are actually cooperative games because collaboration, cooperation. That's our jam. So. Yeah, there's that. And then remember I was talking about Epic Duels, right? Star Wars Epic Duels. Well, they remade the game. The person who designed that game originally remade it and called it Unmatched. And when we found out that was happening, we're like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. We love that. And they're going to have all these characters and stuff. So we had agreed to play test it for them. And we gave such good feedback. They actually asked us to participate on one of them. So we designed characters for this series called Cobble and Fog, which has Sherlock Holmes, Invisible Man, Jekyll and Hyde, and Dracula. And so for me, it was kind of like this crazy, cool, full circle moment
Yeah, no
where the
kidding.
first thing I ever did in board games, designing those little characters and stuff for the Epic Duels things kind of came back full circle, and I actually got to do it and have it put out there and stuff like that. And there's actually another one we did, a Battle of Legends Volume 2.
Yeah.
So I actually got to do work on 2 of those, which was just absolutely a blast. And then the most recent one that we had come out is actually a bit bigger, so I have to grab it here.
Oh, it's hefty.
Yeah, it's called Flashpoint Legacy of Flame, and this is a legacy game, which is a little bit different than other ones because this one is a game that changes every time you play it. So, like for instance, if you were playing Monopoly, bless you, and
Thank you.
you were, and let's say at the end of the game, you would hold on to certain properties that the next time you played, you would actually start with those or whatever, or the board would change because of what happened during that game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we did this game here. It's a legacy game. So basically, you're a rookie firefighters, and you're going on all these different calls to all these different areas, and your characters upgrade and level up and all that other stuff. And we kind of wrote a story on it that was kind of like a season of television. Like if you were going to be watching a season of television, it would kind of tell the whole story of it and stuff. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's been great. We've got some more in the works too, and it's a fun thing to work on, and people really seem to enjoy it. And it's a wonderful community to be in. Very similar to the writing community, very supportive, very passionate about what they do and stuff. It's pretty great.
Well, I mean, we're getting some people in the chat, such as Speak of the Devil. I assume this is the Chris.
That's
Chris.
the one.
The Chris is in the chat.
That's the Chris.
Yeah. He says that as a co-designer of those games, I can confirm that Kevin is an amazing collaborator. I don't doubt that for a second.
He was also a very good Grendel back in Beowulf too. So.
Oh, fantastic! Amazing. You've got Sarah said that she wants to get into board games now. We've got a couple of calls. People love to see the board games.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do, and it exercises kind of the writing thing and all of the all of that creativity and stuff to go into it and put it in a different kind of medium. It's a lot of fun.
I bet. I was going to ask if it feeds into your storytelling, because it seems like, I mean, I imagine whenever you design a game, you have to kind of storyboard it almost. How does that creative process of like making a game sort of relate to your process of writing?
Yeah, so I like to say that we have a story involved in every game, because the story is kind of, for us, what separates it from regular other board games. So for us, when we create something, we want to be able to tell a story. We want people who sit down at the table to not just be like, oh, okay, I rolled dice or I moved things and I had a good time doing it. We want people to make memories and have fun with it, and sometimes a story helps along that way. So something with Back to the Future, obviously there's a story because it's based off the trilogy. Space Mountain, there wasn't much of a story, but we tried to create something to kind of bind everything and explain why you're doing things the reason why you're doing them. Even Unmatched, they're all based on literary characters and things like that. So there's a bit of storytelling that goes into their characters, their deck of cards that they have. We wanted to tell a story. For Sherlock Holmes, we wanted it to be where he's trying to outthink you, not just outfight you. Because it's a battle game. For Invisible Man, we wanted him to feel like, when you're playing these cards, to feel like if you're playing against the Invisible Man, you don't know what's going to happen next because you can't see what's happening. For Space Mountain, it's a dark ride coaster at Disney, right? You're not supposed to know what happens next. So you don't really get a chance to strategize because you have to just follow a certain thing and you don't know where those dice are going to take you. So if we can incorporate that kind of storytelling and things into it, to us, it heightens the experience a little bit. It helps make stronger memories around the table when people are having fun and they're leaning in and they're watching what's happening and like I said, with Cooperate, we try and make as many, our zone is the cooperative game thing. We love being able to tell people, or help people learn to play together. and stuff like that, because that's just so much more fun when everybody's involved and having a good time. I just to us, that's the best.
That's cool. So when is there going to be a Mason Gideon game?
Are you
going to design
I've never really
one?
even thought about it, if you believe that or not, really.
Why? That seems like a natural thing.
It seems like a natural thing. And I'm sure at some point in time, I'll be like, I think this would make a good system for it. But got to get the books out first so that I have something. We can have people from Clue can come over and be like, let's make Amazing Gideon Clue. We can put his name on lots of different things, but an actual game that I just haven't really thought about it.
Oh. I reckon it would make a good tabletop RPG.
And what's funny about that is we have never, our group, as creative as we are, and as much as we enjoy storytelling and cooperation, we have never once played an RPG. At least not to my knowledge. Maybe Chris has. He does it a lot more. He does things more.
Surprises me.
He's involved with it. But we've always said, why didn't we ever get into that? And we just never did. And it just seems right up our alley. We just never did it. But yeah, I do think it would make a very good RPG. I think you're 100%
definitely.
right on that.
Yeah. Video game. It would make a good video game too.
Sure. Yeah, I have no skills at that, but let's go for it.
If there's anyone in the chat that designs video games that wants to do a collaboration, Kevin's here. No, that's very cool. I mean, you obviously live quite a creative life, and I'm sure you think about making something all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, if this is my creative peak, let's keep it going.
Yeah.
I always want to keep things moving forward. I've got a poster that I got from Disney once. It says, "We are just getting started," and it's got Mickey and Walt, that famous statue thing. And I look at it every day. We're just getting started. Let's keep moving forward, and let's what else can we do? Bring some joy to the world in some way. If I can help in that, that's great.
We've got Vicky in the chat saying that she can hack anything. So I don't know if she'll be able to help with creating games.
There you go. We'll hack into I don't even know what's Call of Duty, and we'll just plug in little characters or something.
Let's do that. Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, the story itself, again, having only read the first one, I can only imagine the adventures that you're going to be able to create with the rest of the series. And I don't think you've said a number specifically, but I know in a previous interview you said that you are looking at around 16 books for this universe. So is this going to be split between different points of view? How are you going to extend the story that long?
So I don't know if you've ever read Stephen King's Dark Tower universe.
No, couldn't get into it. One book is long enough.
Yeah, I get it. So that was part of the inspiration, and to be honest with you, so is kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, kind of like that too, where there are going to be multiple characters that will have their own stories, and then they're all going to come together to have their another series. So, book 3 is the end of the Mason Gideon trilogy. But that's not the last time you're going to see some of these characters.
Okay.
Books 4 and 5 are about a completely different character. And books 6 and 7 are about another completely different character. Book 8 is about a different character. And then in book 9, they all start to come together and they start to have their own other adventures. And how that gets written, we will see. Because we're not sure about that yet.
To be confirmed.
We know what the plots of those books are going to be, but how the point of views are going to work, if they're going to switch, because it's going to be weird if you're telling a story from one person who you've been telling the story through for Mason for 3 books, if he's a secondary character, not the main thing. It's going to be a little weird, so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. And, bringing in characters from all these different other series and stuff is something that I've wanted to do for a while now, and I just think it's fun, and for me, leaving little Easter eggs in all of these different books that will become something else, so that someone goes back and they're reading book something or wherever, and they're like, wait a minute, and they go back and they're like, oh my gosh, that to me is super fun, and I want to try and do things like that. So
that's very cool. That's hilarious. Arthur's Avengers.
Nailed it.
Yeah, fantastic. Great question here from KP Malloy. Hello, Keith. How you doing? Do you ever think of your stories as games and consider the rules you would have?
A little bit. The rules, not so much in terms of, like you have to do X, Y, Z in order to accomplish something, but there are like, in the first book, there's a quest, and in order to complete the quest, you have to complete A, B, and C in order to do
Yeah.
that. There are going to be rules of the universe, but we're still discovering that universe, and we're still discovering what those rules are. So similar, but not as explicit, because you have to follow in a game. You have to follow the rules because that's the way the game was designed. In this, it's a little bit more what we call sandbox, where you can a lot of different things can happen, and we know in real life rules don't always matter. Sometimes they get fluid and they change. So,
yeah, okay, that makes sense. Do you play video games as well as board games?
I don't play a lot of video games. I play some sports games, and I usually use it as a meditative tool or a way to kind of like unplug. I usually just put it on easy mode and just kind of let my mind go blank. I find that and taking walks are usually the best way for me to break through some sort of creative barrier.
Yeah, walking definitely. I find that doing like a repetitive task that doesn't require any thinking is super helpful. I am at my most like tidy and responsible when I have like a deadline looming. So like if I think, oh, I really need to get this chapter finished, I'm all of a sudden really interested in organizing my socks. Like I will do literally anything else because
absolutely.
it's so draining. I find it so draining because
I agree with that 100%. It's we're like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write this chapter. Oh, I got laundry to do. And then you get back down and go, yeah, I haven't eaten yet today. Maybe I should have a snack. Look at something to eat. And then you go get something to eat, and you're like, man, this kitchen's really dirty. I'm gonna have to do that. And then all of a sudden it's like 9 o'clock, and you're like trying to get as much done as you possibly can right before bed.
Yeah.
And you read it, and you're like, why didn't I just do it?
Yeah, it's a really good way of writing a lot of nonsense as well.
Yeah.
I always think I'm really, really effective in the early hours of the morning, and I've always told myself this. And I did some writing at like 2 a.m. once, and I read it back, and I thought, what the hell does that even say? It's just I was in this like fugue state of thinking that I'm like, oh, I'm really productive and effective, and I know exactly what I'm doing. And actually, I was just half asleep.
Yeah, I agree. I don't usually even. I'm not even usually up at that time. I'm usually up at like 5:30 every morning. Well, I got to get everybody ready for school, and I've got to get the day kind of started for work and stuff. So I'm just used to getting up that early. So I'll find that by like noon, I'll have accomplished quite a bit. But by 7 o'clock, I'm like that, and so I'm pretty much useless at the end of the night.
That's okay. Some people are morning people. Like my husband's a morning person, and he gets up at around that time, and I just think, I'm going to sleep for another 3 hours, thank you. I tried to get up at the same time, and I realized that I was just miserable.
I tried to sleep in and realized that I'm just laying there awake, so my mind's open.
No, I can absolutely go back to sleep again. If I didn't have an alarm, I would sleep until the night time, probably, like all the way around for about 14 hours. Yeah, that's not exactly a good trait of mine, but there you go.
Sometimes you need to do it though, right? I mean, sometimes your body's like, hey, you know what? Turn off the alarm. We're just going to sleep for a while.
Yeah, I feel like I can't let myself do that once, because then I'll keep doing it and I'll keep justifying it as like, oh, well, I'm more functional if I sleep for 17 hours. But it's not healthy. Before we move on, if anybody's got any other questions for Kevin in the chat, please put them in there. And I'll keep an eye out for it. Yeah, so you have so much going on. You seem like such a busy person. How do you find do you have to force time to write, or is it just something that slots into your day?
There's no set time, because it's really when do I have time? And that's another benefit of working with someone else, because if I don't have time, maybe she does. And like, that being said, this weekend I sat down Saturday morning and I said, my schedule's clear, we're just going to do it. And I wrote 4 chapters.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if they're any good. I haven't reread them yet, but they're there. Like, and then, like, after work, last night I was like, okay, well, I'm here. I'm already at my desk. Let's just spin from here to here, and let's write a little bit. And I started doing a little bit more. And so yeah, whenever sometimes you get those creative grooves where you're like, it's just going, and it's other times you're like, he went there, and you're like, I don't know. And then sometimes, you like you said earlier, you read something and you're like, oh my God, that's a cool idea. And then you write it down. And that's usually, it's those bursts, you just kind of like ride the bursts of inspiration. And then when you have those valleys, you just try and make up for it with, if I have time, I'm going to get something on the page. I'm going to end up editing it. May not be good, but is going to move the story forward a little bit. And if I could do something every day to move the story forward, or brainstorm an idea for, a specific card in a game that needs to be done, let's do it. Sometimes I'm at my desk with regular work until 9:30 at night, just because, and like we mentioned earlier, there's so much to do when you're self-publishing that you don't even realize. Like, I had to fill out something for copyright thing that took me like an hour on this stupid USPTO website, and I'm like, I don't understand. But that's what it is, right? It's the life we chose.
Yeah, that's the hidden nonsense behind books in general, and I think that's like the main benefit of like going with a publisher, is that they worry about all the stressful stuff. But I think at least you have total say in what your book looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I always wondered, like, if a big publisher came over and said, hey, we read this and we really liked it, we want to pick it up, would I hesitate because I wanted to make sure that I knew where the story was going? Maybe a little bit, but I think in the end it would be like, no, that's okay. You take all that stuff off my plate and I can just write. Okay, that's fine.
I suppose it depends on what level of compromise they expect from you. Because especially if you've already got these 2 books out and the third one will probably be out by then, if you do get picked up by a publisher, at least you already have a clear vision of what it's going to look like. So it would be quite difficult for them to change it, especially since you've had so much success with this one. I think I saw somewhere on one of your social media accounts that you'd hit like 200 sales of this series, which is excellent. Yeah, you must be so proud.
It's wild. You expect to sell a couple to people, like, and stuff like that, and things like that. But when people I've never met or heard or put something on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, and is like, this is, a great, I love this book. I read it with my grandkids all the time. And you're just like, I wrote that. we did this. How, why? It's crazy. It just helps on those valleys too. When you have those valleys of creativity and you're like, there may only be 5 people who are really excited to read, but there are 5 people who are really excited to get to the next book. So I want to keep going.
Yeah, that's really nice. I know that you go to or you've attended some in-person events for these books. What for your personal experience, what has been, I hate to ask questions like this, but I know it's helpful for authors, what has been your most successful strategy when it comes to marketing your book? Like, what sells it the best?
I wish I knew. I have no idea what sells it. I have such a blind spot for marketing. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't really. Plus, I don't have the time or the energy to do that.
I get that.
So really, I guess it's just, keep trying to get the word out. And, we made bookmarks and we made little flyers and stuff that actually have a QR code on them that you can scan to read the first 3 chapters.
Oh, that's clever.
Then if you like it, then you can buy it. another good friend, Chris's wife, actually helped us out and made our website.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is awesome, and that's huge because then people have a place they can go visit and, kind of a central hub and things like that. And it's been super exciting and nice because I would still be like, wait, how do I log on to this thing? I would not be able to do that. So really, I don't have any good answers for marketing other than I just went to these stores and said, hey, do you guys do author events, and can we do it? And they're like, yeah, sure. So, that's what we're doing. And, it's just fun. And, I got to, then I get to play around and stuff like making the t-shirt. And,
which is very cool.
Yeah. I made a phone case.
I saw that the other day. That was very cool.
I was so excited about that. It's so stupid, but you know what? Whatever. I'm living the dream, having fun with it. And it's great.
I mean, it is absolutely living the dream. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss this message that Tim put in the chat that he said that he loved your shirt, but it wasn't the right time. And now was the time because you brought up the shirt. When I've finally finished my book, I'm the most excited about in-person events because they look like so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to meet people that have either read it or are excited about possibly reading it.
Yeah,
that, and plus, I've done a couple because, like I said, I have a little bit more time than she does. Her kids have got like 75 activities each. So she's literally all over Wisconsin or other states giving them places and stuff. And my kids are a little bit older. I have a son in college, and my daughter's got her license now. So she runs herself all over the place. So
yeah,
I have a little bit more time, so I'm able to set some of these up and do them. And it's wonderful to interact with people and tell them about what you're doing and talking about, even like, and these moments that we're having here, just talking about it. It's so fun and it's exciting, and maybe people get excited to read it. And it's nice when they pick it up and go, this is actually kind of interesting. I'll take one. You're like, yeah, it's great. It's great that they don't like, okay, thank you. And that happens though. Yes. They're like, okay. And then they keep walking and stuff like that. And, we got to do another event where there was like a big author convention in Peoria, which is about 2 hours south of us. And it's about 4 hours south of her. And, we got to meet other writers and other creative people and stuff like that who, are going through the same things that we're going, trying to find readers, trying to find ways to write, trying to find times to do the things that they all want to do and stuff like that. So yeah, it sometimes helps when you do those things to know that you're not alone. You're doing this. It is really part of a community, and we're all going through the same thing, unless we're Stephen King or, somebody else like that, puts out a book a month, basically. I mean, I don't know if the guy ever leaves his desk. He just writes like insanely fast, but we're all going through the same things, and we all, but like I said, for the most part, this and the board game community are so supportive of each other, and they're so nice and kind to each other, and they're willing to help people out. When we were putting out our first one, we had so many questions like, how do we do this? And, people are like, oh, just do this. And, and it's like, oh, that worked out great. And, so now somebody else, we talked to somebody at the Peoria one. She's a teenager who really wants to get into writing and stuff like that. And, yeah, I said, here's my email address. If you ever have questions, just ask. We will help with anything. I've done a couple of school visits where I've talked to different classes. I've helped them like break down how the story's supposed to go, what different kind of things, in case, and I made like worksheets for them and handed them out to them so that they could, if they ever wanted to write their story, they could, and they would have some sort of guideline that I didn't have before. I was, like I said, in college, I did the closest, I tried to do things towards filmmaking. So we had some things on how movie scripts are kind of broken down, but nothing really, like with novels, which is totally different medium and stuff. So anything that I can do to help and give back to that is a lot of fun, and it's really exciting.
Wow, that's really cool. Maybe one day I'll be interviewing one of those students that you spoke to in that class.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I was inspired by Kevin Rodgers, and I'll be like, let me tell you what.
Exactly.
I remember back in my day.
Right.
Oh dear, no, that's really cool, and I would say the writing community in general are so nice. They're so nice. I love this community so much. This is why I do this. I don't do it for shits and giggles. I do it because I really care about this community, and I've kind of had to pull away a little bit because I've got a lot of stuff going on. But there are small pockets of individuals who are out for themselves and are just born to be negative, but you'll see them from a mile off. And I think if you're watching this, listening to this, and you're not sure how to get into a community, try social media. That is a quick way of trying to get into the community, and just come into it with an open mind, because everybody has their own view on how people should write and how people should present their work. And really, if you just have questions, generally speaking, people are quite nice and really helpful. It's a bit of a life-changing community, and I imagine the game community is very, very similar. I can see the appeal of collaborating on projects because this is a nice group of people. So I can imagine that it is very fulfilling if you are a control freak.
Well, and I'll also say it's super exciting to watch the journey, even if you're not part of it. And I'll use you as an example. I remember a year ago when you're like, should I even start this? Should I do this? And I mean, here you are 2 seasons into it, and you're excelling at it, and it's something obviously that you're very passionate about and you love it, and it brings you happiness and joy, and you get to see the steps kind of from, even if it's a little bit from afar. It's the same thing with books. Someone is like, I've been querying this for, I signed an agent. Oh, they got a full, or whatever. It's like, I did a post a little while ago where I really genuinely believe that this is not a competition. There are plenty of room out there for each other's books, stories, games, ideas, everything. And we don't have to, because you put out a book doesn't mean that I'm not going to. Or because you had a great idea doesn't mean that's one less idea that someone gets to do. It's there's room for everybody, and there's we like to say there's room at the table for everybody to sit down and play. There's room for everybody to sit down and read and write and do all that other stuff. And if the more, I genuinely believe the more collaborative we are as a group and as a community, the better the products that we put out are going to be. Because instead of someone struggling to figure out, how do I do a cover? Do I know anybody? Well, yeah, let me tell you about my artist. He's phenomenal. And maybe that'll help the artist, which will then help the author, because now their book's going to stand out a little bit more than it would have if they were struggling to do it themselves. Or trying to figure it out themselves.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you, and I feel like I can't remember exactly who it was that I spoke to about this, but by helping each other succeed and do better, we are only giving the indie writing community and indie book community help to add value to people who are unfamiliar with indie books, because there's this assumption that indie books are all going to be crap, like they're going to be terrible quality, or they're not, they're going to be riddled with spelling errors, although all of the trad books I bought recently have had spelling errors. I'm going to just say that. Or like the covers are going to be crap or whatever. But that is the case for some books. I'm not going to pretend, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that every single book is good. I can always find something nice to say about somebody's book, but I will never say that they're all perfect, because they're not. Especially if it's like the first thing you've ever done, or if you're trying to save money so you can't afford to do certain things with your book. I get it. And there are arguments of like, well, you should save up and pay for 2 editors instead of 1 editor, and people using certain programs and things to make covers, and that is their personal choice, and that's how they want to represent their work. And I don't think that we should be shitting all over each other and saying like, well, you shouldn't do that because I believe something different. But it doesn't help the case of independently published books. So it's a real tough one, but I think if we approach it with kindness and constructive criticism when asked, not unprovoked, then we can all help each other. It can be a massively collaborative thing.
Yeah, and I'll actually equate it to something because, like I said 30 times already, I'm a huge movie fan, and there was a long period of time where if you were making an independent movie, it was rubber, a rubber monster movie that's not good, and the actors are going to be like, no, don't go in there. It's gonna be crap, and there were a lot of instances where it was. And it reinforced that stereotype. But then, we had that revolution in the 90s, and even earlier with people like John Carpenter doing Halloween, or all these people were independent filmmakers, were setting the tone of what certain movies should be. Quentin Tarantino, and I'm forgetting millions of more. Good Will Hunting, things like that. That studios then had to start paying attention and being like, okay, these aren't the only kind of movies that you can make. You can make good independent movies. We can back these things up. They have festivals now like Sundance and all these other things that celebrate those kind of independent movies, because the artists and the people who are working for them changed the narrative. And I haven't been in the writing community very long, really a year maybe. And I have already in that year seen the same sort of meter switching from everything going from here and everything to, no, this stuff is really good. People need to be paying attention to this. And I think the ceiling is limitless.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really cool to see. I said this at the beginning of the year. I feel like this is the year of the indie author, and things are getting better. Things are more accessible now than they ever have been. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, it wouldn't be as cheap technically as it is now, or as accessible as it is now to self-publish.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was even a thing until about 3 years ago. And, you can basically do it for free. I mean, you're probably not going to get very far with it, but you could technically do it for free. So yeah, it's really cool to see where this community, with this industry, is going. And I do feel like there's a chance we could tip the scales a little bit into, people not drawing a direct comparison between indie and trad books one day.
There's going to be. It's going to happen. We've seen it happen throughout history where this is going to sound stupid, but this is a bad example, but the establishment will be toppled. And I'm not saying that in a Viva la France or any sort of, revolutionary way. It's more of somebody's going to write a Harry Potter book that's going to be just as successful, but it's going to be from an independent publisher, or it's going to be from a self-published author. And the right person is going to pick it up, and it's going to spread like wildfire, and it's going to change the world. Now, we've had some books that I think may have already kind of tipped the needle on that. You look at The Martian, which he literally just, if I'm remembering the story right, he just put on his website, and it went just insane.
Really?
And it has that may not be 100% right. I'm sure
people
are like, nope, that's not right. You're gonna get 75 emails saying, where did you find this guy?
And I will delete them.
As far as I remember, it was a very independent book where the guy just wrote it. I think he put it up on his own, and then people started downloading it, and then the traditional publisher picked it up, and it went completely. It's something like that is going to happen, because we've seen that kind of stuff happen in different kinds of medium throughout history. I mean, even when you look at something like music used to be something that, the greatest musicians were the ones that were contacted by royalty or whatever, right? And then, now popular music is really, independent music is something that people, it just happens. So I'm sure that's going to happen for independent books too.
Yeah, I think so. And if you think, I don't know the intricacies of Brandon Sanderson's history or where he came from, but he owns his publishing house, so he's technically self-published.
See,
technically, and he's a massive household name for fantasy people.
Yeah.
And most people have heard of him. So, yeah, it's really cool. I'm pleased with how things are going in the world. Not overall. Just specifically with indie books. I'm not pleased with most of the other stuff, I will say. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to get into that today. Yeah, this has been so much fun. I've really
Yeah.
appreciated
Yeah, me
your
too.
time, and I'm glad that we finally got to do this.
Yeah, me too.
Before I let you go,
Mhm.
is there anything that we haven't discussed that you wish that you would have had time to talk about?
You know, one thing that I would say is this being a writer, a creative of any kind, is
Mhm.
not easy, and it's not always a lot of fun. Sometimes, the thing with social media, right? You only see the good moments most of the time, right?
Mhm.
So I would just say that try and be kind to yourself. Try and be kind as you're going through this process because, yeah, sometimes it's going to be easy, but most of the time it's going to be hard.
Mhm.
And, we as creative people will always have those moments where we're like, it's not good enough. I'm not, I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't working. Nobody's reading it. You have those weeks where nobody buys your books or nobody,
Yeah.
doesn't, and that it happens to all of us. Just be kind to yourself. Keep going. The world needs to hear your story. We want to hear your story. Get it on the page. Ian's to get that first draft on the page. Let it be crappy, and you can edit it to oblivion. We must have read the first book 25 times, and we
Yeah.
were still finding things that needed to be fixed and things that
Mhm.
needed to be corrected. It's never going to be perfect. Just do your best. Try and give as much joy into it as you want, and joy will be spread because of it. So,
Lovely.
yeah, just be nice to yourself.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, where else?
Yeah, you little shits. Um, but no, thank you again. This has been such a pleasure. It's been really nice getting to know you. And yeah, if anybody is interested in checking out hang on, I've got the links here, the Legacy of the Round Table series. The first 2 books are out at the moment, so I'm going to put them back in the chat as well. I did post these earlier, and I will add them to the description of the episode in case you're watching the rerun of this. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. It was lovely to see people in the chat and seeing that people are creeping and lurking in the background. Happy Halloweenies, and I'll catch you all later, and I'll see you backstage, Kevin.
Sounds good. Thanks.